Hey guys, welcome to Overshot, a paintball podcast. I am your host this episode, Travis. Waldo is also here. Before we get started, we would like to thank Dizana Sports for sponsoring this episode. They have awesome gloves, joggers, anything that you guys want, definitely get it. And anytime you go there, use code Overshot and get 10% off your purchase. And I think right now they're offering still 30% off. And if you use the code, it'll stack up on that. By the time this comes, it might not be going out. It's still the 30, but definitely get the 10. Definitely get the 10. And on this episode, we definitely have a sweet treat for you guys. We have Justin Politi of Columbus LVL coming off their really hot performance of the first event. I'm really excited to talk to him about it. And so we're going to get started right here. But I really want to know is the first time you played paintball, the classic question. How'd you get started?
So my first time was much like a lot of other people's first times, was a birthday party. And it was my birthday party. My dad took me because he was like, oh, I went to this bachelor party when I was younger and we played paintball and it was a blast. So we should take you and your friends for your birthday. And I was like, all right. And it was probably just 6 of us. We went to a local field in Ohio called Pinnacle Woods Paintball. It's still in business. I think they're a little smaller than they used to be, but they had like 13 woods ball fields, a hyperball field, a airball field. So they had everything you needed for a great birthday party. And I was immediately hooked because I played sports my whole life. And I've always kind of wondered if my dad has regretted taking me to that party because now, 14 years later, I'm as deep as you can get in the sport, been playing for a long time now. But that was my first experience playing and it was great. I was immediately hooked and I've been playing ever since.
Awesome. So what was your progression like? So you played the birthday party and then what was your next step?
Yeah. So I, growing up, played soccer, football, hockey, basketball. I've always been into sports. I was on the high school soccer team. I was freshman year. There were a couple guys talking about paintball. We were doing our stretching in the morning. They were there. I think they were juniors. And I was a freshman. I was like, oh, I play paintball. Like I just went, love to play with you guys sometime. They're like, all right. So they brought me out to one of our friends or one of their friends at the time that I just met had this field in his backyard. And it was just like a typical redneck establishment. We had, there were pallets and spools and just sticks piled up. And there was just, just in this kid's backyard, we had a lot of woods and we started playing paintball there. And then me and the 2 guys from the soccer team, I learned you could do 3-man tournaments. And Pinnacle Woods, where I started playing at my birthday party, they hosted 3-man tournaments. So I'm like, hey, would you guys want to do this? They're like, yeah. So we put in a 3-man team. I feel like we didn't do very well the first event. I can't remember that long back. We probably didn't win a game. But we kept playing them. And eventually we met. There were 3 other kids who were roughly our age in high school playing these same events. And their dad was like, oh, you guys should make a team together. And at that time, we didn't know too much about paintball. This was like probably 2005, between the 05 and maybe 2008 might be a time gap. Whenever the Smart Parts World Cup was going on TV.
Okay.
And we learned about, 5-man, because you could watch it on ESPN and X-Ball and stuff. And there was a field called TPA. And we put in a 5-man team to an event there. We didn't practice. We didn't know people practiced for these kind of things. Right. We just went and played it with our little 5-man team. And then from there, we learned about a field called Bill's Backyard. No longer around, but it was literally just there was one net that blocked the back line, which is where everyone parked. And the rest of the field was surrounded by woods. Like on the left was a farm. Behind the field was woods, and then to the right was woods. And it was we bought paint out of the trunk of this guy's Subaru. and that's where we first had like a real introduction to tournament paintball, and that's where we had our first practice as a 5-man team. And there were a lot of people there that were a lot better than us. There was like a D2 team there at the time, and they taught us kind of how to play paintball. I remember for at least a month, I didn't win a single point at practice. And but we just kept coming back. We just kept coming back and kept coming back. And even though we would get beat down and run off the field, eventually we won a point. And I remember we won this point against a D4 team. Anyone who knows the Ohio teams will remember Black Rain back in the day from TPA. they were just, I don't know, a pretty solid D4 team back then, at least in our eyes, because we were very, very new. And we won our first point at practice against them. And like from there, we just we started to finally win some at practice. And I steadily, we advanced through the ranks. We went to the Z4. And then that team, it was called Fatal Effect, kind of folded. And I just kind of jumped on other teams that were trying to be more competitive. I never really fell out of the sport. I just kept going through, high school, college. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. And it's funny, those guys on Fatal Effect they were actually my roommates freshman year of college. Two of them. Yeah. So the one kid from our soccer team and the kid from the team we joined, the three of us lived together my freshman year at the University of Akron. And we all played on the paintball team there in college. So yeah, it was, I don't know. It's been a crazy ride.
So as far as that whole Akron thing, did you start that club or did one of your buddies start the club or was already there?
It was already there. So another guy from the TPA scene, his name's Josh Lehman. He also plays on Columbus level. He is the president and founder of the club. And I think it was there 1 year before I got there. And yeah, so I think pretty sure it was just 1 year before I got there. And then me and Alex was already in school there. Paul, they're both a little older than me. They were both in school there. And then I came, and then the three of us, Josh, and we actually had a pretty big squad. We were playing X-ball in college for a little while, but yeah, it was we had a really good run. It was fun.
That was Class A. Wasn't that like they had the 15-minute halves back then? Were you playing that?
Yeah. So it was 2 10-minute halves. And I honestly think that is the best format for paintball. The only drawback is it's incredibly expensive because I think we were shooting like 80 or 90 cases of paint in an event. Because if you go, we got 5th place the 1 year. So that's it's like six matches at 20 minutes a match. Yeah. And yeah.
You're shooting paint, bro.
Yeah. You're shooting a lot of paint. So I think if that was like a sustainable format in terms of cost, that would be the most fun for everybody. But I just don't think it's efficient for time and for money. But it was honestly the most fun paintball I've ever played.
I mean, that's what I've heard. You know what I mean? I heard like that's the best, and because you got more bang for your buck too, because you're playing a lot of points, you're playing a lot of stuff and anything like that. Like I hear that now from some older people, like.
Yeah,
we pay all this money to play NXL, but like it's not really, dollars. If you took the dollars and lined it up with the playtime versus back in the day,
can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that.
Think about the money in paintball, or you got to get out of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's even at the pro level, it's still really expensive. In college, we were lucky enough to have Josh, the president of the club, who's actually now a professional fundraiser. He's like the director for this thing called Junior Achievement in Ohio. And they help like kids with, I don't exactly know what they do, but long story short, he's a professional fundraiser. So throughout my college career, and if you're in college right now, you should look into this. We would go work all these events. We'd go to the Brown Stadium and we'd work concessions. We would go to the Lake Erie Monsters, which was like the semi-professional hockey team, and work those games. We would do you remember like in high school people would sell like Mally's chocolates? I don't know.
Yeah.
Little boxes. He got those for us in college, and you could go to your college classes with a box of chocolates and sell them for $1 a bar. And I think we were making, I don't know what the markup was on that, but we made a couple $1,000s selling chocolate. Just all you do is carry it around and people in your class buy it. So I feel like the numbers are a little off here, but each year he was able to generate about $10,000 for sponsorship for the paintball club. So what normally we would do is we would pay out of pocket for the small local events. We pay like a due. And then for the nationals, we just go all in and we blow the whole budget each year. And we also got a little bit of help from the school, which was nice. But I think that having help from the school and then fundraising on our own, because when you're in college, you have tons of time. Like I didn't realize how much time I had for free versus now working like a 9 to 5. But yes, that's how we did it in college. We just fundraised a lot of money, and that's how we were able to fund our paintball seasons.
Awesome. So how did you get hooked up with the level guys? Like what year did that happen?
Honestly, like first year I started playing tournaments. So this team goes back a long time. So the team consists of a lot of college players. So me, Josh Lehman, and Addison Winstead. We all played at TPA paintball growing up. When I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. We all played at University of Akron, and we all played on various divisional teams together, like the TPA teams. We played on the Drop Zone All-Stars together. And then Tyler, I've known since TPA. He was around TPA. He's from Pittsburgh. Ryan Hallwell went to Ohio University. Also, he was a Bill's backyard kid, actually. So I met him when I was like 14. So the whole team has kind of always been around each other. And then they became the Drop Zone All-Stars. I don't remember exactly what year that was, but I played with them at World Cup, I want to say 2015. And then 2016, I want to say 16. Yeah, I think 2016, I just graduated from college, and I moved to Louisville, Kentucky for work. And I was actually working at Paintball Asylum, and I joined the Asylum semi-pro team then. And I played with the semi-pro team for 2 years at Asylum. And then from Asylum, they were kind of like retiring, kind of folding out. And then I just kind of went back home to all my friends. They were making, they'd been in semi-pro for like, I think a year or two. And semi-pro is really hard. It's an underrated, like sneaky hard division. And then I rejoined them after Asylum kind of folded, and I've been with them ever since for the past 4 seasons, maybe 3 seasons. Yeah. 2018, 19, 20. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. The semi-pro is definitely sneaky tough. Like a lot of teams that came out of there, like they really do pretty well. Like NYX and a couple of the other guys that made the jump, they didn't come out and finish at the bottom right away. And
no,
you guys, look at your first event. I mean,
yeah. And when I first started in semi-pro, there were a lot of current pro teams in it. So, you have NYX, obviously. Uprising was still playing in it.
Right.
You have
Damage, I think, was
DMG.
Still down there. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
DMG.
Sorry, not Damage. DMG,
yeah. The ML Kings. Let's see. Who else?
Brooklyn Bears.
Elevation was in there. Yep. Brooklyn Bears. They were really good. Elevation was still in there. Team from Canada Scott Graham played for, that the name escapes me. Distortion.
Royal City. The Royal City Sea Dogs now.
Yeah, they were in there. Distortion was in there. They were good. AC Diesel, who's been in there for a long time. So there were a lot of like factory team names in there. And now half those teams are pro. I mean, both AC teams are pro now. Uprising's pro. Katana was in there to start. They went pro, and now we are kind of their spot. So they're, the transition, it was a hard climb to say the least.
Yeah, no, for sure. People don't realize sometimes how probably the beginning you guys got smacked in the mouth a couple times, and that's tough sometimes.
Yeah, it's a grind to come up through the divisionals, and it's just a lot of work, and you got to be real committed, and you got to be willing to travel, like you were saying. Like you don't want to wake up at like 4 a.m. and drive super far to tournaments and stuff. But it's like that. I think once you get to the upper divisions, there's only 23 semi-pro teams, right? And you have to think only 8 to 10 of those are competitive. So if you want to get a good practice, a lot of the pro teams, unless they're local, probably aren't going to play you. Yeah. You need to find one of those 8 other semi-pro teams, and they're scattered around the country. And then you got the Tauntauns who are from France, and they're not going to practice them, but it's tough to to get better. I think to facilitate that without having trouble. So
now with
no, go on.
My bad. So with that being said, I know since you guys are the new guys on the block, X Factor's not calling you up to play you or Houston Heat or Impact or anything like that. I know you were actually kind of close down by here. You went to Top Gun to play Revo. I mean, I know with this whole COVID thing, plans go up in the air and plans change. But I mean, as far as that's concerned, kind of tell the people about what you guys kind of got to do to practice being a new pro team on the block. I know people aren't climbing to go to Ohio and play that level up, even though it looks like a great field. But
Yeah.
I don't think X Factor's coming to Ohio anytime soon.
No, definitely not. And it's funny, we actually reached out to a lot of pro teams, before the event to try and get practices, but a lot of them, like you said, are like, yeah, we're like, you guys would either one have to come here, which obviously rightfully so, or two, they were just like, no, just because we need to prove ourselves, and you have to. We were in the shoe, we're like, yeah, we totally respect that. Like, we're not going to be like, those guys are jerks, they don't want to play us. Like, I wouldn't want to play us either.
Yeah.
We are lucky enough. We have had a relationship with the Revo guys for a long time, since like D3X. And we've been going to Paintball Adventure Park for years, which is where their home field was originally. So Revo merged, they were supposed to do the 187 thing this year. That obviously didn't work out. But a lot of those guys now are from the Boston area. Like Derula lives 10 minutes from me. Max Trailer lives real close to me. So actually, we were driving home from Top Gun when I did the podcast with Eddie Painter. He basically lives on my way home. So half that team now is from the Massachusetts area. It's the 187 guys. So they moved to the Top Gun field, which is super great for me because I used to drive to Pat, which was like, it said, it would say like 8 hours on the GPS, but I was leaving Boston at like 5 o'clock. So I'm leaving downtown Boston at rush hour, and I'm driving through New York. And
we know that
George Washington Bridge. Yeah, it's terrible, dude. It's terrible. So the drive down to Pat for myself, because I would do it solo, was horrible. So I'm very glad that Revo has moved to Top Gun now, because we still play them the first weekend of every event. And then the second weekend for Vegas, we were fortunate enough to hook up with the NRG Boom team, which is now NRG Elite out of Virginia, and they have a really cool facility. They had refs, well, not like a bunch of refs, but like people on the sidelines that like kind of called people out, which was nice. You don't really have that at practice. And they also had pod runners for us. They would have these little kids. I don't know how old they were, but just like the little kids that worked at the field. They would run on the field and collect our pods after each point at practice and bring them back to our staging area and put them in our staging area for us. So the just a shout out to the NRG camp. The hospitality there that we got was awesome. And NYX also came down, and we had like, I think it was a 5-team rotation, because it was us 3 pro teams. Then there was an NRG semi-pro team and a Annapolis A team, who is also a semi-pro. So we did like a rotation. We played matches, and that was a lot of fun. Definitely learned a lot there. And then for what was going to be Texas, we were going to play Revo again. And then I don't think we had a second weekend like hard planned yet. And then the coronavirus hit, so we didn't have to plan one.
Yeah, right.
But that's basically last year, in our like agreement with our field, is that we play away one weekend and we'll play at level one weekend. But now that we are in semi-pro, that could cut it. We would just play. We'd have another D1 team or a D2 team come to us, and we'd play a level, because we have a good facility there. But now that we are in the pro division, we have to travel to these other teams. So, our field owner understands that. Obviously, it'd be great to have us at level on the second layout weekend, and we are there on off layout weekends. You can always find some of the pro guys that are playing, but just in terms of like, until we're able to get better pro teams, like the top 12 pro teams to like come to us, we have to go to them, because it's the only way to get better. So that's kind of how we're looking at the practice schedule for the year, is we're doing a lot of traveling.
That's awesome, because I think that's, if you ask me, that's the best way. It's like throw yourself to the fire and go out there and play these teams. I think it's one of the best ways to climb those ranks.
Yeah, it's honestly the only way, because at your local field, you only have who's there. So if you don't have a D2 or a D1 team, then you're not going to be able to like see what they do, to learn what you need to do to close the gap.
Right.
So like, I guess a really cool thing we have now that we didn't have when I was kind of coming up in the game is you have the BKI stuff. And we were kind of talking about this before we started, but there's a ton of content coming out right now of pros in like Division 1, Division 2, good content. There's raw footage. There's games like NXL puts out the free games, Go Sports puts out the free NXL games. They did like the top 10 from Vegas, and all that stuff. Nowadays, it's like watching, kids or watching the video game streams. You can watch that and dissect it and be like, okay, this is what the pros are doing. Well, what am I doing? How can I get better? And there's footage and there's things to learn from now that when I was coming up, you didn't have that. The internet was like just starting, so there wasn't a ton of there was no paintball footage on the internet.
No, it's all new. Like even I didn't even start playing paintball till 14. And even when I first started playing, I wanted to consume as much as I could, and there really wasn't a lot.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. You had to buy the DVDs, like the push DVDs, and then there was the Smart Parts World Cup on TV.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny. So when I was watching that Smart Parts World Cup when I was young, my favorite player was Thomas Taylor, right? And because he had the Mohawk, and back in 2008, you're 13, 14, Mohawks are really cool. So
hell yeah.
We draw Infamous, right? For Vegas, we have Infamous. So did you guys go to Vegas?
I wish I could have gone to Vegas. I watched.
Okay.
No,
have you guys ever
been we weren't there. No.
Okay.
So we
Vegas
watched the match for sure.
Gotcha. So Vegas has essentially had the exact same layout tournament wise for at least 4 years. So you walk in, you got the vendors, and then you kind of come to a central area if you kind of take a dog leg to the left, there's the divisional fields, all 10 or so of them. And then if you go all the way back, basically straight back through the venue, that's where the pro field is. So off to the left of the pro field, if you drove your car up through the back of the park, you could drive on what is definitely not a road through the park and park next to the pro field, which I would imagine is totally not allowed. But like a lot of the pros were doing it anyway. And to walk from the parking lot to the pro field is far. And it's because you have the whole section of VIP parking, and then you have the normal people parking. And Lord knows we're not paying for VIP parking. So we're, to park in the parking lot was just far as shit. So we park, next to the pro pits, which just kind of, I don't know if that was allowed now, but that's what we're doing. So Thomas Taylor's standing next to me, just shooting the shit. Told him, like, hey man, I got a fanboy on you for a second. When I was 14, I got your autograph at GSP Chicago, back in, I think 2010. So I think I was 16 at the time, actually. And I told him, I was like, I got your autograph. And now the second match of the day, today was Saturday, we get to go head to head in Snake. And the very first point of that infamous match, I go down Snake, stab Harrison Fry, and one bunker in front of me is Thomas Taylor. I'm like, damn, dude, this is cool. So I pop the top on him, missed, but then I know, all right, he's gonna have to come get me because I'm in their Snake and he's in their Snake 1. I'm in their Snake 2, or 3, depending on how you want to call it. So I post up, and then he runs me down. I trade with him, and in his head, he's like yelling for a penalty. He's like, hey man, this, it was a clean trade. Honestly, I probably shot him first, but I'm like, oh, cool, dude. I just got to shoot one of my idols that I've looked up to forever, like for 12 plus years of playing paintball. I was like, dude, that guy was one of my favorite players. I just shot him off the field. That was great. It was just funny how that I don't know how that kind of came full circle, because I don't think I have any other pro paintball players autographs. Maybe on some old posters back in the day, but not anymore. So, but yeah, just a cool moment for me.
Now you'll be signing them.
Yeah, it's actually it's been kind of weird. So I've been trying to. I'm like a minimalist, so I try to not have a ton of stuff. So I've been selling. I sell a lot of my gear. I didn't use gear. I didn't use jerseys. So I've been selling. People have been asking for it autographed, and I'm like, oh, dude, this is weird, but all right. So sending out signed gear.
It helps with selling it too, man. I mean, eventually maybe get on some green spin level. I feel like he'd be signing 6 a day or whatever, sending them out in the mail.
Yeah, those Dynasty guys probably do a lot of autograph signing.
But no, I get that. I had a little taste of that last year at ICC because I play on the Ground Zero amateur team, and nice. I'm standing on the net watching the game, and this dude's like, "Hey, you play on Ground Zero? Do you want to do like an interview?" I was like, With me? I was like, I don't think you want me, dude. I know I'm wearing this jersey, but you should probably pick somebody else, bro.
You should pick up one of those old heads like Rosie or Mooner back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, I'm sure Rosie or Mooner is around here somewhere, but you probably want to talk to them, man.
But like what you were saying,
you do the interview?
Yeah, no, I did the interview. No, I did it for sure.
All right, cool.
Dude, always take the interview, man. Regardless of who it is, always take the interview. You know, man, always.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, man. You know what I mean?
I think it was.
You don't know the subject.
I think it was Moore, the guy from MMR Photography.
Okay. Yeah, good guy.
But just like a surreal moment. I was like, bro, you talking to me? You want to interview me? Like, all right.
Dude, cool. I had a moment like that. I had a moment like that when I used to play when we played the UWL down in put that 5-man Woods Bowl down in Costa Rica. And like, dude, we went to I think it was like the first tournament Costa Rica ever had. And we're there and they're like, yo, sign my t-shirt, sign my pod, sign my whatever. And then one of the guys was like, you play 1994 World Cup? I was like, I looked at Kevin and Kevin's like, bro, just tell him you were there. I was like, dude, what? I was 4 years old. He's like, yeah, bro, you could say you were at the World Cup and you won it back in 94. I'm like, all right. I was like, yeah, I was there. Sign shit and whatever. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, I'm never playing paintball stateside ever again. I'm like, any of these international events, you know what I mean? Now, Justin, have you ever played anything? You ever played any Millennium?
International paintball. I played the NXLE Chantilly in 2018, and I played with the Droogs, who are they're pretty well known franchise over there. They went pro this year, however, there have been no European events, but we got 3rd place. It was a ton of fun. It was a random throw together team, so it was probably 6 Americans, I think. There were 2 a British guy, a Scottish guy, and 2 Germans. And the Germans were hard to understand. But it was a ton of fun. And I thought what was cool about it was the M4 pod. So I don't know, limited paint. Limited paint's pretty cool. I would not be upset if they brought limited paint to America. Because I only shoot about 3 or 4 pods anyway. So
it works out,
I think that. Yeah. And then one of the cool things about the European events, I thought, was the food. So obviously that's kind of a weird thing to say, but hear me out. So the food at the American NXL events is it's not shitty food, but it's fried food. It's heavy. They have like pizza, chicken tenders,
shitty for you.
Fried. Yeah. It's just like heavy ass food. But at the NXLE, they have baguettes and like sandwiches and like normal food that you would eat when it's a hot summer day. You're like, oh yeah, I want a cold cut sandwich right now. I don't want a fried chicken sandwich or a piece of pizza. It's 80 degrees out here. I'm in full gear running around. Like I need something light and filling, but like light, So, and then in the morning they had crepes and they have like espresso and the beer was cheaper there. And I don't know if that has to do with like American regulations on alcohol or not, but I was like, drinking the beer and I'm like, this is normal price beer. This is excellent. You can get drunk here at a normal price. Like at NXL America, it's $8-10, whatever it is, a beer. And,
stadium prices.
Yo, and with that being said, get people loose, and if you make less on the beer, they'll probably buy more of other stuff they got to eat because now they're hungry, and then they got to shop or they'll stay longer. You know what I mean? It's like bar economics, you know what I mean? Like, it's like they should just have ladies' night. Ladies drink for free at NXL. I'm sure that would get the event. You know what I mean? Tom Cole, I'll probably have to call you on that one.
Yeah.
Dude, get a couple lady paintballers there. There'll be 1,000 dudes.
Yeah. I know a problem with like the NXL. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know a thing with the NXL, like the US, I think they have to outsource that. So like for example, at NXL Texas, the NXL they don't let the stadium or whoever owns those grounds of the Dallas Motor Speedway doesn't let the NXL bring in their own vendors. So at least I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So they outsource it because they have to by like whoever owns that. So that's why it's a lot more expensive. I don't know if that's the case at every event, but that's what I've been told. So
yeah, I heard something actually as far as Tom Cole was on somebody else's podcast or whatever, and he was talking about how there's a lot of Bud Light that's sold at the World Cup, so that Bud Light might be jumping in. I don't know. That's what I
believe
heard.
it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's like, as far as
Nice.
like sporting events, you know, there's more Bud Light sales at World Cup than there is at like a normal sporting event or whatever he was saying. So
I believe that, yeah.
Yeah, bro, we're a bunch of degenerates. We play paintball.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like
World Cups, it's always fun.
So how'd you get linked up? I know the Droogs thing. I know that's kind of like they just invite everybody or anything like that. Was that something that you approached them about? Was somebody else that you know going there and you wanted to play with them, or you're just like, I need to go to Europe and play one of these things?
Yeah. So it kind of worked out perfectly. So I was living in Columbus, Ohio. I used to work for Tesla, the electric car company, Elon Musk and all that. And my girlfriend is a lawyer, the tax lawyer, and she got a job offer out here in Boston. And she was like, "Hey, if you want to come to Boston, I'm moving there. You can come with me if you want." And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Like, so I transferred with Tesla out to Boston. But the problem with working for Tesla was you had to work weekends. And I was trying to get, with Drop Zone and like level up the first year, it was okay because I could only make, 1 day of practice, or I would like make as many of the practices as I could, and that was enough. But I just wanted to like kind of get my weekends back, and I did the Tesla thing for about 1.5 years. I ended up getting a new super corporate job here in what's called the financial district of Boston. And I had about a month off between when I quit Tesla and when I started my new job here in Boston. And the event fell on my birthday, which was September 28th, in that month gap. My friend Slade was playing on the Droogs semi-pro team, who I played with on Asylum. And I think he had invited me to it a long time ago. He was like, "Hey man, if you can make this event," and I was still working at Tesla. I was like, "Oh yeah, it's a blackout day because it's the end of a fiscal quarter, so you can't take any time off." So I was like, "I can't make the event." But once I quit, I was like, "Oh, no, I can make the event." So I hit him up and I was like, "Hey man, are there any openings on the Droogs?" He's like, "You can play Division 2 if you want." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'll play Division 2, dude. I'll play Division 3 if they would let me. I don't care."
Whatever
let me play,
bro.
Yeah. I was
right.
Unfortunately, I was ranked like D1, so I was too high to play Division 3. But I got on with the Division 2 guys, and my flight, I got super lucky. I bought the flight the day before I went, and it was $300 round trip from Boston to Paris. And I was like, "This is
not bad."
No, I was like,
dude,
"This
is
a
miracle,
sign, dude." I know.
Dude.
I was like, "What are the odds that in the same week I quit my job, I get I'm able to play the event? There's an opening for the team on the event, and the flight's only $300 round trip." I'm like, "All right, dude, I got to do this." So I bought that flight and went over there, and it was honestly, it was one of the most fun paintball tournaments I've ever had. Just the atmosphere and the people, and I think because we only played together the Thursday before, so like for me it was just fun. I wasn't like, "Oh man, I've been grinding at this forever. Like I really want to win this event." I was like, "We win, sweet," but like honestly, I'm just here playing, in Europe for a good time. And we had a blast. And after the event, me and this guy, Jordan, and my friend Pat O'Brien, who used to play with Scottsdale Elevation, we all went out in Paris, and we got a hostel in like downtown Paris, and we went out and saw the sights, the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, just the city, and it was a blast. So I'm really happy that I had that experience. I'd highly recommend, if you can get over to Europe, to play one of these events, to do it, because the venue's sick. It's at Chantilly. It's got the castle backdrop. The people are friendly. It just seems less like tense, I don't know, than the American events.
Yeah, we heard that actually. We had a buddy of ours that lives in Canada, this guy Jay or whatever. He plays mostly woods ball, but he was saying that that they were looking. The Royal City Sea Dogs weren't going to play semi-pro in America. They were just going to go to Europe. And I've heard from plenty of people that because people stay all day over there, like people go, like they're there for the paintball tournament. And the other thing too is like you said, like you're going to Paris, you're going to Amsterdam, you're going to things. I mean, nothing against that XL, man, but I've been to Florida 100 times. I don't need to go. You know what I'm trying to? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It's not as cool to me to go to Florida to go to one of these other places. You know what I mean? That's got old buildings. It's got history. Like,
yeah.
Florida's been around, whatever, and they're done.
Yeah.
That, I mean, Dallas, but I mean, what do you think? You think they need new vent and freshen it up? I just think the problem is though, is like when they roll into town, like that Philly event, like they destroyed that field, they'll never be allowed back. There's no way.
Yeah. So what's funny about the Philly event, so we got to have a dinner with Tom Cole before our pro debut. And Tom was telling us about venue selection, how it works. He was like, the only reason he's like, we got that Philly event because the guy who let us do the venue there was retiring after that event. So he couldn't take any shit. And of course, as in all paintball events, it rains. And if it didn't rain, like we wouldn't destroy it. But once it rains and you have the paintball happening with the rain, it's like it destroys the fields. It's because it's the same routes being run over and over. The paint is probably not great for grass, and the diving, the sliding, and it just destroys the venue. And it's not the NXL's fault that it rains. Like they can't control the weather. It's like they pick 5 weekends out of the year. It's like really unlucky. I mean, it seems like we could just roll the dice and it's raining 3 out of those 5 weekends. It's crazy. I really like that Philly venue though, and I think that the NXL, they do a good job of trying to mitigate disasters. So like at that event, it was raining, right? Obviously, it was getting very muddy. So the walk from the parking lot to the field is far as heck. Like, I don't know. Can I curse on this? Is that okay?
Yeah. We'll just put the explicit tag. No, it's all good, man. BU, we'll put the explicit tag.
Yeah. So it's a very far walk from the parking lot to the field, but they were putting down pallets and planks of wood so you could try and walk on it so you're not lugging through mud, which I really appreciate. Because I know the PSP would just kind of let it be like, it's whatever. But
nothing sucks worse than trying to drag your gear bag through mud.
Yeah. But like what Tom was saying, he's like, if the venue's bad every year and I don't move it, then it's my fault. But I can try and pick new venues. But it's hard to rent these venues. So Austin, Texas, the new venue is going to be in Red Rock. That's a sweet place. Austin's awesome. However, it's a catch-22 because it's more expensive to fly to Austin. Rental cars are more expensive. It's outside of the city. So is Fort Worth. But it's just like, it's cool to get different venues, but like, what's the trade-off? The trade-off is, okay, cool, we're going to a new city. That's fun for everyone. But this city is more expensive than the last city. So I don't know. I do like changing it up. I think the way they do it is they pick a point on a map and they draw a circle and they try and find like the population radius and however many teams can make it there the easiest. And that's kind of how they pick their venues. But then there's also, once it gets trashed, like they're not allowed back. So the pool of what's available has to get smaller each year, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know.
No, that's exactly what I've heard, from any time Tom's been on, man. And, I wouldn't want that job, man. And I've actually played that Costa Rica event that I was talking about. Like Tom played with us at that event. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, because he was down there because it was like an affiliate league. He was running the Woods Ball League, so it was an affiliate league. And we only had 5, and most of the dudes, like I was 20, and the other dudes were, 50 plus years old, and we're in the mountains of Costa Rica. And we're like, yo, Tom, like, dude, you got to play for us, man. Like we're dying now out here. I wanted a break, but I wasn't gonna say anything at being the 20-year-old with a bunch of 50-year-olds.
Right.
The elevation, dude. We were like 4,000 feet up in the mountains. We had to take like a banana truck, but
dude, that's awesome.
No, it was mad fun, and I got to play. Like, dude, I played with Tom Cole, bro. Like that's
that's sick.
You know what I mean?
Legendary.
Legendary company.
Yeah. Company.
But cool. So I definitely want to talk into some of our questions we got for you. What was it like to play the Aftermath game? I was watching it on my lunch break, and I'm like, all right, I'll watch a game. I'm on my lunch break. And then I found I'm like, well, I'm going to get in trouble because I'm not leaving until this fucking game is over.
Yeah. It was crazy because I remember looking at the scoreboard halfway through. I'm like, oh, it's like, like 6-3 or something. Like this game's got to be close to over. Oh, there's still 10 minutes left in the game. That's basically a full match. Yeah. We're like, holy shit. Like we played, I think we played almost all of our players that match because the points were just so fast. And it was crazy. It was just blow for blow for blow. And we were so amped up. So normally when you're winning a point, what you want to do, the correct way to do it, if you're like up bodies, is to take more time to close out the point efficiently. But I think we were so amped up and adrenaline filled that we weren't like thinking our ways through the points. Like we were thinking because we were winning the points, but we weren't like breaking it down to the next level where it's like, oh, hey, we need to win this point and also take a minute off the clock. Hey, we're up 3 points. They need to come to us. We can sit here and make them concede. So we were not thinking strategically. We were just like, go, 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 like score, 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 score. So which resulted in a really fun match to watch. And it was really fun to play because it was just a lot of kills and a lot of action.
Dude, it was the best match I've seen in the NXL.
A long time.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I was about to unrenew my Go Sports. I was getting kind of bored of stuff. I was like, bounce shot here. And that's kind of what you were saying about that 4 pods and everything like that, dude. I just too much bounce shot, fucking 3 pods here. You know what I mean? It's
that's boring, dude. Nobody wants to see that.
No, man.
Yeah. So, it was fun. It was a blast of a first pro match to play. I thought we could win that one going into it. And I'm happy we did because it's good to get your first pro win out early on, kind of get the butterflies out. So it went about as good as a match could go for everyone watching, everyone playing. So
now, I know, kind of saying, as far as like a strategic aspect and everything like that, I know you guys picked up Robbie Goldsmith, formerly of CEP, and I'm actually met Robbie. It's just funny how like small the circle is. It's like I met Robbie at ICC because James Butts, who used to play with them, and Josh Merida used to play on CP back in the day. They played a Woods Bowl tournament with me about 4 or 5 years ago in Tennessee because we needed some local bodies. Nicky Cuba played with us and stuff like that because he was living out there at the time. So I met Robbie because they needed a player, and they're like, yo, bro, we know you like are on the Master Blasters. You guys have like 4 or 5 teams here. I'm like, nah, man, I just came to like hang out. Like, I'm good, bro. Like, you want me to play? I'll play. And I like turned to him and I'm like, dude,
I need a setup.
I need a gun setup because I just gave mine to my other buddy that was playing with Bad Company or whatever with Tom Cole. I was like, so Robbie, so like, I don't know. I kind of met Robbie and it seems like, I don't know, he's a very successful businessman and everything like that. So how was it having him come into the system? I mean, because you guys kind of just met him, listening to your podcast and things like that. Like you guys met him at the Top Gun practice, right? Like you didn't, some of your guys may have known him before, but most of the guys met him that day. Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. So you've played with a lot of legendary players. It sounds like he's like, well, so Tom Gold, Robbie, that's awesome, dude. So Pando is a Dye guy. He works for Dye. He played with CEP. So he has known Robbie for a long time. He's known him like in college and stuff. He was like, hey, we should bring him on to coach. So we had not a Skype interview, but we use Discord for any gamers out there. Use Discord. We had a Discord like team call with him and like interviewed him for the job. And we originally were not going to bring him on because we didn't really know him, and we didn't really what we were trying to do is we're like, how can we close the mental gap the fastest? And we didn't know kind of what he was going to bring, and we're like, we don't know if that'll help or not. And we ended up electing to bring him on because we were like, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? If we bring him on and we don't like him, he'll just leave. It's not a big deal.
Just toss him to the
he's got his he's got his own stuff going on. Like, I mean, so he's got to want to do this for a reason. It never hurts to have an extra set of eyes. And if it doesn't work out, you just part ways. But bringing him on was honestly the best decision we could make because I don't think we would have played the field right if he wasn't coaching because he came with a fresh outside perspective. And you need that because when you've been the same team for so long, like the only people that have played on like other teams, like we all did growing up, but the only people that have played at a higher division on another team is myself. I played the semi-pro with Asylum. So when I came back to Trop Zone, who had come up, by themselves to semi-pro, they didn't have an outside influence. So like when I came over from Asylum, I brought a whole bunch of new codes with me, a whole bunch of new ideas, new strategies, and meshed it with what they were doing. And that's what Robbie did, but at a higher level because he was at the pro level. So when you have that, it just allows you to be a more complete team, be a more complete unit, and it takes away the player coaching aspect. So it's very difficult to have a player, like if I was, playing in the snake and I'm running down every single point trying to play, like I can't watch what my other 4 guys are doing. So if we lose the point, I don't know what went wrong. And if we win the point, I don't know what went right. So having that outside perspective from a coaching aspect is just, it's almost invaluable. And at the level of semi-pro and 100% pro, you need someone like that in order to help you adjust as fast as you can, because there's not a lot of time, between points to fix mistakes if you want to be competitive.
No, you definitely need that because, I know I play woods ball, it's a little different, but there are times where you just walk and you're like, I don't even know where the fuck I got shot from. Like, where did that even happen from? And then you're like, no, this guy crawled up over here, and you're like, oh, okay. But unless you had some dude on the outside watching, you wouldn't have known because your other teammates are focused on what they got to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So having an outside view, especially someone who is so outside of the program, no one knew him except for Hollowell, who knew him from the NCPA All-Star days. And it was, I don't know, it was interesting for sure. But I'm really glad we brought him on. I think he fits in well with us personality-wise, and his knowledge is great. I don't think we would have done as well as we did without him. So.
Yeah, and I know, kind of like a similar thing, you guys don't really have anybody around you guys. I mean, I know you're in Boston, but I'm saying, all the Ohio guys, you guys don't have people around you, to build this up. That's why you guys got to travel. And that's kind of what CEP was. They were on their own little island there. You know what I mean? They were, they didn't have another pro team down the block or anything like that. So, my little interaction with Robbie or anything like that, he's got a brain, man. He's got a brain for it. And kind of revert back to what you're saying. I've coached teams before. I'm not saying I'm as good of a brain as Robbie, but kind of going back to what you're saying, we used to do I've done the player coach thing, dude. There's the coach and then there's the player. It's 2 different things. Keep it. I'm a believer in keeping it separate. I've seen it work, a player coach before, but I think over time, the best system is to have a coach and have players. So each person has their own role, and you're not thinking about 4 or 5 different things.
100%.
So.
All right, cool, man. So we got a couple of questions here from some fans. One of them wants to know, so what was the driving force behind you wanting to start the podcast?
So we were actually kind of talking about this a little bit earlier. The driving force was that I spend a ton of time off air. I spend a ton of time in the car by myself because I live in Boston driving to practice, and also in the airport flying to practice. And so my motivation was the only podcast going right now was Carl's, which I listen to all the time, but it doesn't come out super regularly. So I just felt there was a void for paintball content in terms of free content that you could listen to driving to practice or fly, or if you're at, the higher divisional levels or the pro level, flying to practice. And I was like, I thought there are a lot of pros that and you know them really well. You know Greenspan really well. You know Marcelo. You know who Alex Goldman is. You know J-Rab. The big names, the Heat guys. But who you don't know are the lower guys that are in the bottom 8 or maybe then that 8 to 12 rank. Like the NOX guys are getting a lot of publicity now and stuff like that. Like my friend Pat Crafts on the team.
The loaders.
Yeah. But it's you don't know the stories of these other players who are in the pro division who aren't getting a full ride, who are working a 9 to 5 doing this, how they started, what they do for these events, what their lives are like, what their pro journey is like. So that was kind of the driving force behind it for me. It was just lack of free content, which Go Sports is doing a great job putting out a ton of stuff right now, and then just wanting something that people can listen to when they're driving home from practice.
No, I mean, that's kind of why we did it, and we both listen to Carl's stuff all the time. So that's kind of what you're saying and why we did it. And we kind of wanted to do, like you said, highlight not even just pros, but just highlight all the different aspects of paintball. I mean, like you said, wow, I mean, dude, I'm not no pro or anything like that, but like, you're like, dude, you played with a lot of like memorable names and stuff, mostly in the stuff. But you know, that's our big drive too, man. You know, just more content, the better. Like you said, like Carl's is great. I think Carl's is the best one out. There has been other ones in the past, like Alex Grace had one, and a New Jersey guy, Mike Zapantis, had the Paintball podcast.
That one was good. I like that a lot.
We need it. We need it regular. You know what I mean? And we need, almost pro.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, cool. So we got some more questions here from sir. This one's from my man Carter, our resident snake killer. He wants to know, what were some of like your emotions going into your first pro game, and what do you think of the biggest struggles you guys have going forward?
Emotions, does you mean like things I would do to warm up, or?
No, like emotions. Like, what were some of the things you were feeling?
Emotions.
Like, yeah, like you walked out there, it's your first pro match ever. You hear them go 10 seconds. Like, what's going on in your head?
Yeah. Dude, I would definitely had, the butterflies in the stomach. I was like, at one point I was in the pit and I was like, man, I just got to shoot my gun. I got to do something with my hands right now. And I just went over the chrono. I just started like shooting my gun, both hands. And like, I would never do that in semi pro. I'd be like, whatever, I'm just ready to go. But like for this, I was like jittery, emotions were high. And I think you'd see that for our whole team, emotions were high. And that's why we played completely wild in the aftermath game. So that was a lot of fun. And then what was the second part of the question?
He wants to know, like, as going forward, what do you think some of the biggest struggles your team is going to face being a newer pro team?
Oh yeah. Definitely the two things I would say. One is the mental gap. And I think you can see, if you watch the Dynasty match, you can see we were actually winning the match at one point, but as it kind of gets deeper into the match, they just make the right moves. We have bad deaths, and that's just the mental game. It's like they know what to do. We're like, out here playing Dynasty for the first time. So adjusting our mental game to being like, all right, they're just 5 guys over there. We know what to do too. We need to shrink our mistakes, because you have to be perfect. You can't have a bad death anymore in the pro league, because you'll be sitting on the bench or you'll be losing the match. And then also the second part would be off the break survivability. If you watch the AC Dallas match, they were shooting one. Like if you listen to me and Tyler talking, he said he played 3 points. He got shot all 3 points. Didn't even shoot his paintball gun. If you're playing a team and you're not letting their players shoot back at you because you're shooting them that quickly, you're going to win the game every single time. So we definitely need to get a lot better off the break, and we need to improve our mental game against the top pro teams. Those are the two things we're really going to work on.
Yeah, the mental game is something definitely tough. I know, because of my first ICC I played, we got Dynasty in the semis, and nice. They made it look like I was a birthday party player. Like I made it to like the God one, and I head checked like once, and Blake Yarber shot me in the fucking goggles, and I was like, I didn't even fucking see him.
Dude, they won the event.
Nasty.
Won the event, so at least you lost to the team that won the event, man.
Yeah. But still, it was like a learning. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, well, I got to get better at this whole mental game. It was an eye-opener.
Yeah.
Cool. And the next one comes in from a good friend of mine, Carmine, and he's a lower. He's like a D4 guy, and he wants to know, like, if you could give one piece of advice to a divisional player like that to up his game, what would that one piece of advice be?
Okay, that's a great question. My advice would be, do not spend a lot of time in the BST trading away your paintball guns. So there are a lot of people that swap guns frequently or buy a bunch of backup guns. Don't do any of that. Use that money to buy practice paint and just try and play every single weekend. And what you want to do is try and find people that are better than you and learn from them. So like when I was coming up, when I was a D4 kid, there was a Division I team at TPA. They were called Skyline Paintball. They played out of Virginia, but 5 of their dudes were from Ohio. After every day of practice, our whole team would go over to them and be like, hey, like, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? What are you guys doing? And we would just constantly ask for help, constantly ask for feedback. There used to be these things called all you can shoots, and it was $60, and they would just bring out like a skid or two of paint, and it was unlimited paint for the whole day until all the paint was gone. And they would always, the guy who ran it would always match us against a D1 team, and we would get beat up a lot, but occasionally we'd win a point. So the second part of the advice would be play teams that are better than you, and don't be upset if you're losing a lot. because you're supposed to. If you're playing like a D1 or D2 team, don't try and cheat in practice. When you're losing, take that as a learning experience. Every time you get shot, you should, like, before you walk off the field, you should stop for a second and be like, okay, where did I get shot from? Why did I get shot like that? Is it my mistake? Did they make a good move? Like, did this player die that let this happen? Should I have been shooting a different zone? Should I have attacked quicker? So just like when you get shot, take a second to look down the field and be like, okay, he shot me because I was doing this, or this happened, or that happened. And then, so those would be my pieces of advice. I guess that was more than one, but don't spend a lot of time trading away your gun. Get used to your gun. Use that money for practice instead. Approach players that are better than you. Ask for as much advice as you can. Digest as much as you can. And when you make a mistake, don't blame other people. Try and look at yourself and say, what did I do wrong? Or what was the situation that happened to cause this mistake and this bad death? Or, maybe sometimes it's not a bad death, but that caused me to get eliminated from the game.
That's some solid advice. Because I definitely see people like get hung up on themselves, and I think it's Rich is famous for saying is like sometimes kid makes a good move, man.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Kid made a good move.
Yeah. And this is not an exaggeration when I say this. When I first started playing paintball, at least a solid month of every weekend playing, we didn't win a single point. And you just got to keep going back. If you like it, you will get better if you just keep grinding at it. But it sucks because you lose a lot. So you have to be okay with like not winning at practice.
Now, do you think that what you just said is why you are able to make it to pro? Because I feel like a lot of kids nowadays, maybe more, it might be more like a regional thing, but like, they want to be the kings of practice. And that's something that, coaching kids and, probably coach about 100 or so people or over the time, nothing crazy, D4, D3, but I feel like
people. What are you talking about?
You know what I mean? I'm saying it's a lot of people. I'm just saying it's not a high level. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, I've always tried to. That's just kind of my thing. Like, you know what I mean? But like that's even how that even this kid or whatever. But the whole thing with kind of going back to what I was saying is I feel like that's like the one of the biggest things is like they want like they want to win practice so bad that they're cheating or we're doing other different things. And I'm like, dude, like. I don't know. I feel like, and maybe that's just like for me personally, the better we did at practice, the worse I ever did in the tournament. But that's also because, as far as like kids getting away with cheating with refs or anything like that. I mean, my biggest thing has always been like, do you think that's one of the big reasons because you kept going back after losing that why you're where you're at and some of these kids just kind of stay at that D4 level?
Yeah, I would think so. Being able to persevere through like adversity and being okay with losing at practice. You don't want to be a practice all-star. Yeah, winning in practice is fun, but a perfect example of this, there was a team at Top Gun that was wiping us off the field at practice, and we're like, man, this doesn't seem right. Like we think we're shooting them, but they're just not coming out. They're beating us every point. They go to the event, 0-4. Didn't win a match. And I'm like, all right, dude. So we weren't crazy, So what you're saying is, yeah, they were in semi-pro.
Okay,
we know who it is.
You might know who they are. I'm not going to name them, but
okay, you don't have to.
New Jersey.
Yeah, what you're saying is totally correct.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you're still here. I thought we lost her for a second.
Yeah, something like that. But what you're saying is totally correct. You don't want to cheat at practice because you're not going to get any better. It's like when you're cheating in the weight room, you're only cheating yourself. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, you guys are both frozen.
You're good on our end.
You guys there?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, I might be lagging.
All right, cool. So while we wait for Justin to come back.
Yeah, I can, but I think I might be lagging. Hold on.
Okay.
Having trouble connecting. I'll grab my phone.
It's all good. New Jersey.
Joys of a lot. Yeah, so the team he was talking about was New Jersey Supreme. They won 0-4.
I think they renamed the Top Gun Revo. Our boys, Mike. Actually, no, Mike doesn't play, but our boy Travis Baskin plays on that team. And yeah, man, play straight up in practice, Travis.
Yeah, I think. Are we back now? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah. You're good.
You're good.
Perfect. All right, cool. Yeah. So back to it. I don't know how much cut out or not, but what you were saying is totally right. Don't cheat in practice. When you get shot, come off the field because it's all a learning experience. You're only cheating yourself if you're cheating in practice.
Yeah, and people notice that too. Like I try and tell the local guys too, because when I started playing, I didn't really play X ball. I just went right into the woods, and I got brought into the wings by Master Blasters on the lower tier. So like, I mean, the first probably 6 months of me trying to play paintball in the woods, Rosie and Mooner were just like literally smacking the crap out of us.
Yeah,
and it was like, and yeah, eventually you just kept going, and then Waldo was there the first time we won a game, and to hear Kevin Donaldson cursing out a bunch of 50-year-old boys because he just let the young guys run down the hill and beat them on a field they've been playing for 50 years. It was a good feeling.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a story, dude, man.
You guys have been playing Rabbit Run for 50 years and you let the young kids run down here. What is going on here? Oh, it felt good.
Dude, no nice. Lie, dude. They probably played that field 1,000 times, at least. But
that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been playing paintball since fucking 84, whatever, 88. I don't know.
Yeah, a long time.
Longer than I've been alive. So let's just leave it.
Same.
Yeah, we got one more fan question here. This is from my boy Dan, who I played a UWL with. But he wants to know, which is kind of a good question. At what point in your paintball career was it the hardest, and what got you to overcome that? Was there a point where you almost were like, "Yo, this is it. I can't do this anymore. I'm done."
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's see. I think I've only took like half a season off, and that was probably in college because I got distracted. There's a lot of girls, a lot of other things to do. You want to party, you want to drink, you don't want to be waking up at 7 a.m. to drive to practice. And then honestly, most recently, I wasn't even sure if we were gonna kind of keep going as level before we went pro. So I think one of our guys had retired, and I didn't know what the rest of the team was kind of going to do for this year. But then we kind of got the nod to go pro, and everyone was, all in on it. So yeah, I think everyone has that point. But since I've started playing, I don't think I've ever taken a full season off. The most one year I played 3 events when I was working for Tesla because they don't give you a lot of time off. But I've never taken a full season off. But that's a good question.
Yeah, because I'm kind of the same way. Like I played for a birthday, and then I was in a band, so I didn't play paintball for a long time. And then my brother drug me back in. But then ever since then, like I've never stopped. And I play everything. I play big games. I'll play rec play. I'll play tournaments.
Yeah,
I'm playing everything, and I've never taken a break. Like this is weird. This is the longest I've gone without playing paintball, and as long as I can remember because of Corona.
So now, Justin, did you always? What's the best way to?
Yeah, it's wild right now, man. It's wild times.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Justin, did you ever? So I know you kind of moved out here to Boston or anything like that. Did you ever look to get linked up? When you didn't know about.
I think I lost it.
Yeah, we're maybe lagging a little bit here.
Yeah, so Justin, I don't know if you can hear this or anything like that, but I don't know did you end up trying to get on Revo or
breaking up
or NYX?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good question. So I've known the NYX guys for a while, because I used to play against them on Asylum. So when I first moved to Boston, they were the only people I knew here, so I would just go play with them. But they. This was still when we were in semi-pro. So yeah, it would have been great to play like pro with them when I was playing in semi-pro because they were like, they're at Mets Outback and on Boston, so it's close. And then Revo would have been the same that I was just driving to Revo. So I wouldn't really say I tried to get on with them, but I did try and practice with the NYX guys whenever I could, just because they're so close to me.
Yeah, the only reason I brought that up is because when I announced that you did this, our buddy Travis Granado, he said that he went to an NYX tryout or a practice or something like that, and he thought you were there or anything like that. So I just kind of wanted to confirm his, his thoughts and his views or whatever. He's like, yeah, I think I saw him at the when I went to the NYX thing. So, but you were just there practicing with them.
Was that this year? Was that this year?
Was it this year or was it last year? I think it was last year.
Last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably went to it. I don't know if I was probably just practicing. This year they had an NYX tryout, and it was fun. Me, Keith DeVitt, Greg Hrostek from Thunder, Harrison Fry, and Josh Taylor from old NYX. We had a line of 5, and we were playing against whoever was stepping up to us, and that was a ton of fun.
Oh, that had to be awesome.
Yeah, it was a good Sunday.
All right, cool. So before we sign off here, I want to give you the opportunity to plug your podcast, plug all your sponsors, plug anything you do.
All right. Awesome, dude. Yeah, so I do The Rookies. It is a podcast about, the NXL and us coming up in the rookie team in the pro division. And then sponsors Dave Pando and Level Up Sports in Columbus, Ohio. Dye Paintball for hooking us up with the, M3 Plus, I5s, all dye gear head to toe. Falcon for giving us the best paint to shoot. Ninja, we are going to be having custom Ninja tanks come out soon. With the coronavirus, that's probably been delayed, but those will be out soon. And then New Balance, we will have custom New Balance gear coming out as well, but again, delayed with the coronavirus. Hope, trying to look around for a jersey here. I don't think I missed anyone. So, but yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on. I've had a ton of fun. This has been a great time, guys.
Hell yeah. We're going to have to come have you back maybe hopefully after some more events so we can talk about some more stuff.
Yeah, hopefully we have more events.
Yeah, right. But all right, guys, this has been Overshot, a paintball podcast. I want to let everyone subscribe, rate, and review. And don't forget to use code Overshot at Dizana Sports to get 10% off. They got an awesome deal going on right now. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Take it easy.